Screening all offers is an essential step in making sure your deal is on a path to success. Here are the key questions to ask yourself when screening an offer. Is your buyer pre-approved? If your buyer's financing, it's critical that you request a pre-approval letter. When you receive a copy of a pre-approval letter, you should make sure it's no more than 3 months old and is for a purchase price equal to or greater than the offer amount. It's also a good idea to make sure that the letter specifies the correct property type, such as a condo, co-op, or multifamily property. In some instances, buyers prefer to send a pre-qualification letter instead of a pre-approval letter, since the former does not require a hard credit pull. If your buyer provides a pre-qualification letter, but you still have concerns about his or her finances, you could also request a recent pay stub and/or proof of funds for the down payment amount. If you've never heard of the mortgage lender who issued the pre-approval or pre-qualification letter, it may be worth having a conversation about this with the buyer or buyer's agent. Does your buyer have sufficient funds to close on the purchase? Buyers in New York City often underestimate how high closing costs are, especially for condos and houses. A buyer putting down 20% on a condo may not realize that he or she will need another 5% in available funds to cover closing costs. You can estimate buyer closing costs by visiting Hauseit's interactive closing cost calculator for buyers in New York City. One way to screen for a buyer's liquidity is to have all buyers complete a submit offer form. The submit offer form includes a simplified personal balance sheet, which buyers will complete and submit along with their offers. To download a submit offer form, visit www.hauseit.com. Will your buyer meet the co-op board's financial requirements? If your co-op building has a specific debt-to-income requirement and the buyer's financials are very close, we strongly suggest you ask the buyer to provide pay stubs and other documentation which will confirm that they are financially qualified beyond a reasonable doubt. Is your buyer a serious candidate? There's nothing binding about offers in New York City, so it's always a good idea to learn a bit about the history of the buyer before putting all your eggs in one basket. Questions to ask include, is the buyer submitting offers on more than one property? Is the buyer a first-time home buyer? Has the buyer backed out of any deals in the past? Keep in mind that the buyer agents and buyers are not obligated to share any of this information with you, but there's no harm in asking. You'll have the highest chance of receiving information like this by picking up the phone and trying to build some rapport, as opposed to emailing an intimidating list of questions to the buyer or buyer agent. Choosing the right buyer is especially important in a bidding war when you have lots of options. If you choose the wrong buyer and they back out later down the line, you'll have lost some of your leverage when you reach back out to those other buyers. More questions? Ask the community in Hauseit's forum, where buyers, sellers, and New York real estate professionals come together to discuss the toughest questions in real estate.